You know what's interesting? The haircut you thought was making you look younger might actually be adding 10 years to your appearance. And I'm not talking about the obvious ones everyone mentions. There's this one specific length that stylists quietly advise against, but somehow it keeps showing up everywhere. Stick around because number 4 is probably sitting in your bathroom mirror right now, and you have no idea it's working against you. Hello, gorgeous. Welcome back to Glow at Any Age, where we prove that looking fabulous has nothing to do with your birth certificate and everything to do with smart choices. If you're new here, welcome to our community of women who refuse to let age define their beauty. I'm so glad you found us. We're going to spend the next few minutes talking about something that honestly surprised even me when I started researching it. This isn't your typical avoid short hair advice. This is different and it matters. Before we dive in, do me a quick favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we post fresh content every week that actually helps you look and feel incredible without spending a fortune at fancy salons. Trust me, you'll want to catch every single one. And if you find this video helpful, which I know you will, give it a thumbs up so more women in our age group can discover these tips. Alright, let's get into it. So here's the thing about haircuts after 50. Everyone's going to tell you the same recycled advice. Go shorter, add layers, avoid this, try that. But what they're not telling you is that the devil is truly in the details. It's not just about short versus long. It's about specific elements within those cuts that can either take you from vibrant and fresh to tired and dated. And honestly, some of these might shock you because they're everywhere. They're trendy. They're popular. But they're not doing us any favors. So let's talk about the 7 sneaky haircut elements that might be aging you without you even realizing it. Point 1. Let's start with something I call the blunt bob conspiracy. Now hear me out. Bobs are beautiful. They're classic. But here's where it gets tricky. When you go for that super sharp, blunt cut that ends right at your jawline, especially if it's the same length all the way around, you're creating what I like to call a spotlight effect. And unfortunately, that spotlight is shining directly on areas we'd rather soften. Think about it. Your jawline, your neck, even the texture of your skin. All of that gets magnified when you have this harsh geometric frame around your face. The weight of that blunt line actually pulls the eye downward, emphasizing any looseness in the neck area or jowls. And if your hair texture has changed over the years, which it does for most of us, that blunt line can look especially severe because the ends might appear thinner or more wispy, creating this unflattering contrast between a strict line and delicate hair. What works better? A softly textured bob with slightly graduated lengths. Not layers necessarily, just subtle variation that creates movement. This gives you the sophistication of a bob without the harsh aging effect. The key is asking your stylist for point cutting or slide cutting on the ends, rather than a straight across chop. Point 2. Number 2 is what I call the pixie trap, and this one breaks my heart because pixie cuts can be absolutely stunning. But here's the uncomfortable truth. An ultra-short pixie that exposes your entire hairline and ears can actually be quite unforgiving after 50. Why? Because it removes all the framing and softness around your face. Your bone structure is completely exposed, which sounds great in theory, but in practice it means every line, every shadow, every bit of facial volume loss is on full display. Plus, and this is crucial, our hairlines naturally recede a bit with age. A pixie that worked beautifully at 30 might look too severe at 60, because there's less hair at the temples and around the face to create that soft transition. And let's talk about ears for a second. As we age, our ears actually continue to grow slightly and the earlobes can elongate. A super short cut that fully exposes the ears can draw unwanted attention to this. Now, does this mean pixies are off limits? Absolutely not. But the key is keeping some length around the face and temples. Think more textured pixie with longer pieces at the crown and around the face, less severe crop. You want enough hair to create soft shadows and frame your features rather than exposing everything. The difference between these two approaches is honestly like night and day. Point 3. Here's number 3, and this one might surprise you because it sounds counterintuitive. Overly layered cuts that are meant to create volume can actually make you look older if they're not done right. I'm talking about those heavily choppy, razor-cut layers that were so popular a while back. Here's why they backfire. As our hair texture changes with age, it often becomes finer and more prone to frizz. When you add aggressive layers to already fine hair, you're removing density where you need it most. What happens? The top layers are super short and fluffy, maybe even frizzy, while the bottom is thin and straggly. This creates what I call the triangle effect, where your hair is puffed up at the crown but wispy at the bottom. It looks unbalanced and honestly, it screams, "I'm trying too hard to create volume where there isn't any." And those razor cuts? They can make the ends look ragged and damaged, even if your hair is perfectly healthy. The better approach is requesting long, soft layers that are cut with shears, not razors. These layers should blend seamlessly and create gentle movement without removing too much density. Think of it as strategic layering rather than aggressive chopping. You want your stylist to work with your hair's natural texture and volume, not fight against it. And if your hair is particularly fine, sometimes fewer layers with the right styling products work better than a head full of choppy pieces. Quick pause here because I'm curious. How many of these have you tried? Drop a comment below and let me know which haircut mistake you might have made. No judgment here, we're all learning together. And if you're enjoying this information, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps other women find this content, and honestly, we all deserve to look our absolute best. Now let's keep going because the next one is probably the most common mistake I see. Point 4. Number 4 is the center part dilemma. Now, I know center parts are having this massive moment right now. They're everywhere on social media, on celebrities, on fashion runways. But here's the reality for those of us over 50. A strict center part can be brutally aging because it creates perfect symmetry, and perfect symmetry highlights any facial asymmetry or volume loss that's happened over time. One side of our face is always slightly different from the other, and as we age, those differences can become more pronounced. A center part puts all of that on equal display. But there's more. Center parts can also emphasize a widening part line, which is something many of us experience as our hair thins with age. That straight line down the middle of your head can look wider and more obvious than it actually is, drawing attention to thinning hair. Plus, center parts tend to flatten the crown area, which is exactly the opposite of what we want. We need lift and volume at the crown to create a more youthful silhouette. The solution? A deep side part or even a slightly off-center part. This creates asymmetry in a good way, adding visual interest and allowing you to direct volume where it's most flattering. A side part also lets you sweep hair across your forehead, which can soften your features and even disguise thinning at the hairline. And here's a pro tip. Switch up your part occasionally. If you always part your hair in the same spot, that area can become weaker and thinner over time. Giving it a break by parting elsewhere can actually help maintain fullness. Point 5. Number 5 is something I call the harsh bang situation. Bangs can absolutely be youthful and fresh, but the wrong type of bang can do the exact opposite. I'm specifically talking about thick, blunt, straight across bangs that hit right at the eyebrows. These heavy bangs can make your face look shorter and wider, and they often emphasize horizontal lines on the forehead, rather than disguising them. Plus, they require constant maintenance and styling, and let's be honest, if you're not styling them perfectly every single day, they can look limp or greasy, which adds years instantly. The other issue with heavy bangs is that they can overshadow your eyes. As we age, our eyes can appear smaller due to hooded lids or sagging skin. Heavy bangs sitting right above your eyebrows create a visual weight that makes this even more pronounced. Your eyes get lost in the shadows, and your whole face can look tired and closed off. So what works better? Soft, wispy bangs or side-swept bangs that blend into the rest of your hair. These create a gentle frame around your face without the harsh line or heavy weight. Curtain bangs are also fantastic because they open up your face while still providing that youthful fringe effect. The key is keeping them textured and light, not thick and blunt. And if you're not ready to commit to bangs at all, face framing pieces that are slightly shorter around your cheekbones can give you a similar softening effect without the maintenance. Point 6. Let's talk about number 6, the too short in the back mistake. This is another one that's surprisingly common. You know that graduated bob where the back is cut really short, sometimes even shaved or clippered, and the front is longer? It can look edgy and modern, but it often backfires for women over 50. Here's why. That super short back exposes the entire back of your neck and the base of your skull, and unfortunately, this is an area where we often show age. The skin on the back of the neck can become crepey or loose, and our posture sometimes changes, creating a slight forward head position that's emphasized when the back is exposed. Plus, these cuts require frequent maintenance. As soon as that back starts growing out even a little bit, the whole shape collapses and looks unkempt. You're back in the salon every 4 weeks, which gets expensive and time-consuming. And there's another subtle issue. These cuts can look harsh and masculine from certain angles, especially if you have a strong jawline or broader shoulders. They lack the softness and femininity that often works better for creating a youthful, approachable look. A better option is keeping some length at the back, even if you want a shorter overall style. A nape-length cut that just grazes the top of your collar is far more forgiving and still looks modern and fresh. This length allows for natural movement and doesn't require constant upkeep. It also maintains that feminine softness while still being easy to manage and style. Point 7. And finally, number 7, the one-length wonder. This is when your hair is all exactly the same length with no layers, no texture, no variation whatsoever. It might seem like the simplest, most classic approach, but it can actually be quite aging. Here's the thing. Hair that's completely one length tends to look flat and lifeless because there's no dimension or movement. It hangs like a curtain, and if your hair texture has become finer with age, that curtain is going to be pretty thin and see-through in places. One-length hair also lacks the face framing elements that help soften features and create a more youthful appearance. Everything just hangs straight down, pulling your features down with it visually. And if you have any wave or texture in your hair, one-length cuts can look especially bottom-heavy and triangular as the hair flips out at the ends. The weight of the length pulls the top flat while the ends have all the volume. The fix is adding subtle internal layering. Not choppy, dramatic layers, but gentle layering throughout that creates movement and dimension without sacrificing length or density. These soft layers should be customized to your face shape and hair texture. They give your stylist the ability to control where volume appears and where it lies flat, creating a shape that's flattering rather than just hanging there. Even just a few strategic layers around the face can make an enormous difference in how fresh and modern your hair looks. So there you have it, 7 haircut elements that might be adding years without you even realizing it. The blunt bob, the ultra-short pixie, those overly choppy layers, the center part, harsh bangs, that too short back, and the one-length approach. But here's what I want you to remember. These aren't rules written in stone. They're guidelines to help you make informed decisions about your hair. The most important thing is that you feel confident and beautiful in whatever style you choose. The real secret to looking youthful at any age isn't about following trends or avoiding certain cuts entirely. It's about understanding how different elements work with your unique features and hair texture. It's about finding a skilled stylist who gets this and can customize these concepts to work for you specifically. Because at the end of the day, confidence is what makes you glow, not your haircut. If this video helped you see your haircut in a new light, please hit that like button and subscribe to Glow at Any Age if you haven't already. We're building an incredible community here of women who support each other in looking and feeling our absolute best. Drop a comment and tell me, which of these surprised you most? Or better yet, what haircut question should I tackle next? I read every single comment and I love hearing from you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today, and remember, age is just a number. Your glow is forever.